All right, so moving on from discussing Dexter New Blood, we're going to be doing our tier list of the Scream movies, all five of them. I know Nick didn't see it, but he's seen the other Scream movies, so get his input on there. I kind of actually want to
Hmm.
go back and watch the show myself, because it's been a while since I actually seen the show.
I keep, yeah, I keep meaning to, and stuff just always comes up. Like I
Yeah,
watch like the first couple episodes, but something always like takes me away from that.
yeah. It's all on Netflix too. All three of the seasons are on Netflix too. So yeah, I've been meaning to sit
Dope.
down and binge them all. Yeah. All right. So I'm gonna pull it up on stream here, and we're gonna be giving our thoughts on the Scream movies here and where we would put them. So I think Scream One, I think we all can say is S tier. I think that's pretty obvious.
Oh, 100%. It's one of the absolute best directed slasher movies of all time. It kind of saved the horror and the slasher genre by just having this incredibly well thought out script by Kevin Williamson, bringing an incredible cast of actors. Because in like the '80s slasher movies, you were not getting actors of this talent. Drew Barrymore was not saying yes to coming into a slasher film. And it's an interesting thing. Originally, Barrymore was going to play the Sidney Prescott role, but she convinced Wes Craven and Harvey Weinstein, who were the producers at the time. I know, gross. But she was the one who convinced them to kill her first.
Mm.
And at the time, Drew Barrymore was Hollywood's new it girl. And to kill her immediately and as horrifically as they do in the first movie, it was a shocking thing.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, she was the one that convinced them to do it. She told the story also on her show. She has a talk show now. Drew Barrymore. She told the whole, story of how she convinced, Wes Craven. She convinced the studio to be like, "Hey, I want to be the one that dies." In the beginning, it'd be such a big shock because you see the poster. She's on the poster. She's the big face.
She is on the poster in front of Nev Campbell, Matthew Lillard, and Skeet Ulrich.
Yeah. So it was kind of like this big thing to shock to the audience because, of course, they're not going to kill Drew Barrymore. I mean, she's this well known star. Then they're going to kill her in the opening scene of the movie. And they get her ass good, too. And they got her ass real
Yeah,
scared. Yeah.
yeah, and I think that's even calling back to what Wes Craven did with Nightmare with the Tina character, because you spend most of the first act following her, and then she's the one that gets it almost the worst.
Yeah. So I thought that was really good. And yeah, I mean, just what it
And
did for
and
horror, too.
yeah, what it did for horror, and just how I'd say infinitely rewatchable it is, because once you get the reveal of that the killers are Skeet Ulrich and Matthew Lillard, every like little tick in their performance, it reads so differently upon a rewatch. And it's fun to like break down, wait, which Ghostface was Stu and which one was Billy, and all the misdirection that they try to give you to convince you that no, of course, it's not the two most obvious guys here.
Yeah. And there's like a video. I saw a guy on YouTube. I forgot his name. I give him credit, but you look up on YouTube like who the killer is, or you know what I mean, and he'll
Mhm.
break down in each movie how you can tell who's like the good person in the costume at the time when they're killing. He's like, well, you see, like, well, the killer, like I think he said with Stu or with Billy, he likes to clasp the knife and really press down on it, and he likes to like
Mm.
really, especially also choke people. You see him doing that numerous times throughout the movie. Like that's his whole thing, is like really choking people too. And then with Stu, he's more of a slasher, and he'll just he's a spaz, so he'll just stab and without regard and everything like that. So you can tell like the subtle
Here's
difference.
a dude getting his ass whooped the entire movie.
Yeah, I mean he's probably the one that was getting his ass beat by Rose McGowan in the in the garage there. Like yeah, yeah. So that was good. Yeah, he was getting his ass beat by Rose McGowan and her nipples there just in that garage. And yeah, So you could tell like those little subtle little differences of who's who in the costume and their performances and how is and when they're outside the costume. So I thought that was really good. I thought that was really nice, and it was just this perfectly kind of crafted kind of thing that really it spawned all this other different stuff. And it like when Scream was like such a big hit,
Mhm.
they fast tracked because Kevin Williamson also did I Know What You Did Last Summer. So that was a movie he wrote
Hmm.
before
Yeah,
Scream.
yeah. Yeah, another movie that was very much a slasher mixed with a whodunit.
Yeah, and they fast tracked that because since Scream was such a big hit, they were like, "Oh shit, this guy's kind of talented now, so we got to now put through everything he's doing." So they fast tracked "I Know What You Did Last Summer" and put that out the very next
Yeah,
year.
he very much became Hollywood and the horror genre's new it guy.
Yeah, and then also Scream 2 came out also in '97, the following year too, and Sarah Michelle Gellar was in both. She was in both. I Know What You Did Last Summer, and she was in Scream 2 as well. Yeah, I was like, when I saw it, I was like, oh, she was in there. I forgot Sarah Michelle Gellar was in this. Yeah. So Scream 2, where would you put it?
Scream 2, I think I like Scream 2 just as much as I the first one, but I think there are issues with it that I have, but I think it's still a solid A tier movie. I think the second one it does do a great job of breaking down a lot of the tropes of sequels. Of it avoids a lot of what I would consider sequelitis with just retreading the same ground over and over again. It balances that fine line and continues that fun mystery of the who done it, introducing a whole bunch of red herrings, a whole bunch of misdirection, with the inclusion of Liev Schreiber's Cotton Weary,
Mm,
who was literally just a cameo on a newscast in the first film. And in the 90s, Liev Schreiber was one of Hollywood's it guys. He was the guy that was high in demand, and he comes to do like 2 seconds of, hey, I'll be in this background news footage, and the director and writer promised me a bigger role in the next one,
mm,
which is kind of an amazing thing. And like throwaway jokes in the first movie getting payoff. Like I think they joked that if this were a movie, I'd probably be played by like Tori Spelling or something. And in the background of Stab, you have Tori Spelling playing Cindy Prescott.
yeah. Yeah, with Scream 2, so Scream 2 is the one where it takes place with her in college. Timothy Olyphant is in it. Speaking of, Justified, we did the whole discussion of that revival. Hey, Timothy Olyphant's in here, in there. Joshua Jackson is also in here. Joshua Jackson, he did Dawson's Creek, so he was big at that time for doing Dawson's Creek. I also know him from Fringe. Like, if you've never checked out Fringe, awesome sci-fi
Oh
show.
yeah, yeah. Fringe
Incredible,
is awesome.
yeah, incredible sci-fi show. And also, yeah, Sarah Michelle Gellar. So it kind of had like, and this was Buffy had just came out this year too, 1997. Buffy had came out.
This was the same year that Buffy premiered.
Yeah, so that damn Sarah Michelle Gellar was winning that year. Holy shit, that was her year, 1997. She had three movies. She had two movies and a show. Holy crap, good for you, Sarah Michelle Gellar.
Yeah,
And
absolutely. And I think out of all four of the whole like killer reveals, I think this one might be my favorite because because the big key difference is with like 1, 3, and 4, it's all killers that I'm going to do this and get away with it. But Timothy Olyphant's entire plan is no, I want to get caught. I want to like gain fame off of the trial. I want to blame the movies.
yeah. So that was good. I think, I think I liked, his killer. I didn't too much like the fact that the mom was also helping him, and especially since Gail also mentioned what kind of falls apart for me is Gail also mentioned she interviewed his mother, Billy Loomis's mother, who's the villain in Scream 2. It's like kind of like, well, you didn't recognize it because she lost some weight. And
Did she say that she interviewed her in the first movie? I don't think that ever came up.
it was
Because I think that by the time that Maureen Prescott died, Billy Loomis's mama was already out of the picture. She'd already abandoned it.
I think that because if correct me if I'm wrong, but in Scream 2, when the killers get revealed, and then Laurie Metcalf who comes out, who's the other?
Yeah, it's Sydney. It's Sydney that recognizes her
Yeah,
as Billy's mom.
yeah. It's Sydney that recognizes. She says, "Oh, it's you," and then Gail went like, "Oh, wait, no, that's not. Like I interviewed you." and you were like you were really overweight, and then she's like, oh yeah, but I lost all this weight and got plastic surgery and all this
Yeah,
other stuff. So I
yeah,
don't know.
which
Maybe I'm misremembering. I could be. I don't know.
I never had an issue with it. It was always like one of those, ooh, one of those like cool reveals. This like nebbish reporter that's like on the heels of Gale Weathers this entire movie, and it's her that's the killer.
Mm,
Especially how good the film was at providing a lot of red herrings.
mm, yeah. Uh, yeah. So you would go A.
Yeah, I'm at a solid A for Scream 2.
For me, I'd go. It's tough. I think I'd go B or C. I think
Hmm.
I'd maybe go C, but meet in the middle go B.
Yeah, Meet in the Middle go B. I still think it's as of now it's probably my second favorite Scream movie.
Okay. I'll bump it up to A. I'll give it A. Sure.
Mm.
Okay. Sure. Scream 3. Where we at?
Scream 3 is a movie that had all of the production trouble in the fucking world. This is a movie that it had basically just an outline that was done by Kevin Williamson because by the time this came out, he was so busy with other projects. He was brought on to write a treatment for Halloween. He was doing stuff for Dawson's Creek. He was one of the busiest men in Hollywood. And so the writing duties went on to Aaron Kruger, who was definitely not the same caliber of writer as him. Aaron Kruger, he's written stuff like Reindeer Games, stuff like New World Disorder, Imposter, The Ring 2. Who, yeah, he is not a good writer. And the biggest thing that was the hindrance of this movie was 2 weeks before production started, the Columbine shooting happened. So after that, the studio pretty much mandated, okay, we got to toss out this entire script and we had to start from scratch. So like elements from Williamson's original draft ended up still on the page, like Sydney living in isolation, but the opening of the movie changed, who the killers were completely changed. It changed mid-production, it feels like, because the entire movie, all of them have two killers, and this is the only one that isn't, even though they completely set it up that there are two.
Yeah. Yeah, this is the only movie that doesn't have the two killers. And I think that it also, the whole voice changing thing because they do a thing, add a new element with the kind of the voice.
It's yeah, it's not even just like, hey, it does the Ghostface voice, who Roger Thomas, who does the voice of that. Good on him, because that's one of the greatest like killer voices of all time. But it does it to where it like can change your voice to mimic anyone perfectly,
Yeah, like the dude
which
is.
doesn't even exist now.
Yeah, like the dude is fucking Mystique or something like that. Like he can he could just copy everybody's voice. You know what I mean? And it's like, yeah, that was just kind of just add this new element to it. It was just kind of weird that you could do that, and he could like because he's trying to like he calls and pretends to be other people at first, not just the Ghostface killer, but he calls and will pretend to be other characters like Sydney or Dewey or whoever or Gale, and then at first then he goes to the Ghostface voice, and it just seems like I don't know. Sometimes it's just like it seems like a waste of time for the most part. Like you're just building up to go to the Ghostface thing, and it's just like you just go straight to the
Yeah,
Ghostface thing.
and like original drafts of this had Emily Mortimer and Patrick Dempsey being the killer. It was like those characters would have been the killers, and it's completely set up and believable in the same way that it is in Scream 1 and 2, but they never follow through with that. Because I think original draft of this had Matthew Lillard Stu coming back and teaching and training a whole bunch of new Ghostface killers, or Sydney dealing with a bunch of stalkers after the events of the Stab movies coming out.
Yeah. Uh, yeah, because I guess
But there is one saving grace for this film, and that is Parker Posey playing the Gale Weathers analog in the Stab movie.
Oh yeah, yeah. I think she's awesome in it, Parker Posey. Yeah, because
And
you don't see Stu die in
yeah,
the first one, right? You don't see Stu die.
he gets like the TV smashed on him, which I would kill him,
Oh, okay.
but
Oh, yeah.
Hollywood, that happens.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, but she's awesome in the movie.
And
Yeah.
and even in these movies, until the bullet goes through their skull, they are alive.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's that's very true. Got to make sure they're dead, yeah, permanently, yeah. But I think one
Mhm.
thing that really, helps this movie is Parker Posey. I think she's delivering the best performance, even more over the original characters like Dewey or Gale.
Mhm.
And there's not that much Sydney in here. Like she comes in, very much at like the kind of
She doesn't. Yeah, they only had her for 20 days, which is insane.
yeah, because she really comes in mostly at the third act, really, where she kind of comes
Mhm.
in and does most of the stuff. And because, like you said, they do the
Yeah,
whole thing.
yeah, she was busy shooting Party of Five, and
You cut out there. What'd you say?
yeah, she was filming like two other projects at the same time while filming Scream 3. It was Drowning Moment, Party of Five.
Yeah, so she's not really, you have your main final girl who's not really in this movie that much. And I think the whole kind of relationship with Gail and Dewey is not that good as it was in the other couple of movies. Here they're kind of, estranged. They're kind of, they've broken up already again, and it
Mhm.
just doesn't really work all that much.
And Jesus, and also, what hair and makeup lady did Courtney Cox piss off?
Yeah, she talked about
Because
that.
those
Yeah.
bangs are horrifying.
Yeah, she talked about those awful bangs. I think recently in like an interview. Yeah, she talked about kind of like that bad look. Yeah, yeah. So you have that, and then also it's the first one not to take place in Woodsboro. So it's in
Mm.
Hollywood because it's a movie within a movie of them on the set of the Stab movie, and then where all these killings are happening in Hollywood. So yeah, I mean that also kind of I don't think helps it all that much. Yeah, I think it's definitely. I think most people generally agree it's the weakest of the series. If I had to place it, I'd go D myself. Uh,
Yeah, this is definitely D tier. This is easily the worst Scream movie, but I think Parker Posey keeps it from being lower.
okay, yeah. All right. Four. What do we think about four?
Scream 4. I think this movie, it's a great return to form for the Scream series. It's the one where Wes Craven and Kevin Williamson come back to write and screenwrite it, uh, uh, to direct and screenwrite it, excuse me. It brings back the dynamic of the original three cast. It has that classic setting of Woodsboro. It does great callbacks to the original trilogy. It has an entirely, like, I think, really fun new cast of characters like Hayden Panettiere, Emma Roberts, who are doing great work with this film. The weakest thing, I think, it's the weirdest shot movie of this series. It has like this weird waxy filter placed over everything that was very distracting when I rewatched the movie.
Okay. How'd you rewatch it?
I'd watch it on streaming. I think I caught it on, was it Peacock that's available on?
Oh, Peacock. Oh, nice. Yeah, that's why I watched some of the other Scream movies, which was on Peacock. Yeah. Yeah, I kind of see what you mean a little bit. Kind of like it's a little waxy. Kind of. I see what you're
Mhm.
saying with that. I don't know.
Yeah, it's like the camera lens is covered in wax.
I don't know. I mean, you do have a lot of really pale people in this movie, like Emma Roberts, the two Randy characters there who are doing the streaming thing. Rory Culkin, I mean, he's really pale, and then Emma Roberts is really pale. I mean, maybe you're just looking at how white those people were. Maybe that's what it was.
Mhm. Yeah,
Um,
I think besides the new big three with Emma Roberts and Hayden Panettiere and Marley Shelton, I think she's a lot of fun. I think this is probably the most forgettable side cast in one of these Scream movies.
really, you don't
Yeah,
think?
even like this like new Billy character who is completely set up to be the killer. He was such a nothing personality. He was like, hey, he's like the pretty boy with no personality.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, very much so. Yeah, they kind of set him up as very, very generic, very bland, very forgettable. I don't remember his name in the
Mhm.
movie. Um, and yeah, so yeah, they kind of set him up. I do like Hayden Panettiere as Kirby. I think she does a good job. Uh,
She was probably my favorite character in this entire film. And I think in like original draft, she was going to be one of the survivors.
yeah, yeah, she was gonna be kind of one of the survivors. Yeah. So I liked her. I liked Emma Roberts. I thought Emma Roberts did a decent job there.
Oh, yeah, she does because the killers are her and Culkin, and I think that might be one of my favorite killer reveals out of this entire series.
Yeah,
Because the whole reason she's doing it, it's because like the new age, yeah, hearing about it's one thing, but to see it, that's the next big thing, and to be the survivor, that's like predicting what ended up becoming a huge thing with like influencer culture, which wow, this movie was really ahead of its time, as I think Twitch launched at the same time this movie came out in 2011.
yeah, it did. Yeah, 2011. Yeah. Crazy to think it's been around that long. Actually.
Yeah, and that entire scene of like after like the aftermath of okay, Emma Roberts is the last one standing, and her just yeeting her through all of that glass to like fake the crime scene. That was so much. That was so funny. That was something that this series does really well. It balances that very dark humor.
Yeah. 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 She was Amber Heard before Amber Heard. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I like the killer reveal in this one. And with all these movies, you have to have it with the characters they monologue and they got to tell their whole thing, which I
Mhm.
kind of don't really like about the series. I would have liked it if they did with this, like with this new one, like with some of the characters, like Dewey coming back, who I think Dewey is one of the best new of the older cast members coming back. They did kind of more of the investigating stuff. You know what I mean? Like, because usually it's the killer revealing themselves instead of the cast figuring out who the killer is. You know what I mean? Just through investigation, which I did. I think they. I wish they would have kind of done that at least once in these series. Like people actually piece together the clues and on the killer's tail, and they actually figure it out, not just the killer revealing themselves every time.
I think they actually kind of did that in 3, but they were wrong. And that was because Wes Craven shot 3 different endings for Scream 3, which is why it didn't tell anyone which one he was going to use, which is why the ending of Scream 3 doesn't make any fucking sense.
Yeah, and the ending of Scream Three is just, it just like I tweeted out one time. I was like, Sidney Prescott's mom is like what Tony Stark is to the MCU. Like she just has created all these different villains just because she liked dick, just because she liked to get good dick, and then she just
Yeah,
did wrong.
which the third one, it's weirdly slut shaming a victim of sexual assault,
Yeah,
which that subplot never really sat well with me.
yeah. So it was just kind of like, wow, she's created all these super villains and everything like that. It's like, oh wow. But with this fourth one, I liked it. I think it's
Mhm.
better than the second one for me. I think it's. Is it better than the fifth one? I'd say it's for me. I think it's better than the fifth one. So I would have it like one and then four and then two for me.
Hmm.
What about you?
Yeah, I'm at 1, 2, and 4, but I think one is S tier, obviously, but 2 and 4 I would put a solid B and A and B tier, respectively. I
Okay.
don't think there was a bad Scream movie besides the third one.
Okay. So you'd put Scream 4 and B.
Yeah, I would put Scream 4 very much in B.
Okay. Okay, and you didn't see Scream 5.
I've not seen Scream 5 yet.
Yeah.
Big sad.
Yeah, big sad. Let me spoil it. Anna Taylor Joy, she's the killer.
You
Yeah.
motherfucker!
Yeah, she shows up at the end out of nowhere in a dream. Then she comes and kills. Yeah, she kills him. Yeah, that's what happens. Yeah, there you go. Anna Taylor Joy shows up, kills everybody, takes off the mask. Yeah, she's from the '60s. She's wearing the outfit underneath, the dress and everything like that. There you go. Yeah, I like this fifth. I thought it was decent. I didn't love it as much as some other people did. I know a lot of people really loved it a lot and thought it was, very, very great. And I'm surprised that this movie, like I said, I mentioned in the review how it didn't get the hit like maybe Matrix Resurrections did. I mean, this is a better movie than Matrix Resurrections, but it was kind of doing the thing where it was talking about fans and things like that, and
Mm.
making fun of fans a little bit. So I was surprised that they didn't snap on this movie like they did Matrix Resurrections, because that was the big thing about that movie, is how it talked about fans and kind of talked down to them a little bit. So yeah, I would say five is definitely better than three. And I would have it probably C for me. So it's
Mm.
kind of perfect down the line of one, two, four, five, and three. For me, I'd go one, four, two, five, three for me as far as the movies. But
Mm.
so you said for you it'd be one, two, four, and three, right?
Yeah, one, two, four, and three, and that ranking subject to change after I finally see Scream Five.
Yeah, so this is the way the final list looks right now. Yeah. But I'm interested to see what you think about it. Hear your thoughts about it. Hear what if you can guess the killer in the movie. Um,
Yeah, you know me. I got a soft spot for slasher horror, so I might end up just praising the shit out of it.
yeah, I like some of the stuff he did. I like some of the newer characters. Like they try to bring in some more Randy s characters here. But I did like some of the characters introduced and some of what they did. But so I thought a lot of them were kind of flat. Somewhat with the fourth movie, I thought a lot of them were very flat. Yeah.